Namibian Heritage Week, I think, is a celebration of our heritage and culture. And the Namibian Heritage Week team is very determined and has a lot of passion of trying to celebrate heritage and culture every year at the same time, which is the third week of September. And this year, of course, it falls within this week from the 15th to 21st of September. And I always say it's so important because Namibia has such a rich culture and such a rich tradition, and it shouldn't get lost. So it's always my favorite week in a year to be able to celebrate these traditions and cultures.
So this year's theme is Torchbearers of Our Heritage. What exactly does this theme mean, and why was that particular theme chosen?
Well, the Namibian Heritage Week team thought very long and hard about it, and we've all have people in our lives that had a very big impact on us. May it be in giving us their stories or teaching us about their traditions or something about culture. And we were playing around with the theme in the beginning of the year, and it just became so significant to celebrate maybe significant figures in the history of Namibia, or even celebrate our own families. Because if you think about the word torchbearer, it basically means somebody who hands this flame along to somebody else. And exactly that's what we in the heritage and culture community want to achieve. We want to be able to hand this torch to the next generation so that our legacy lives on. And especially with Namibia's culture and tradition, that legacy needs to live on. And we just want to teach the importance that please just hand this torch down so that it doesn't die out.
What can visitors expect from the opening event at the Swakopmund Museum?
All right, so our opening event was yesterday, and it was a huge success. What happened was we had a few dignitaries come and speak about what Torchbearers of Our Heritage means to them. We had Her Worship the Deputy Mayor come. We also had the Honorable Governor of the Negongo region there. And they just spoke really about, like I mentioned just now, giving on this torch and how important it is. And it was also nice to have the Chief Education Officer from the Directorate of the Education of the Negongo region with us, who really encouraged the youngsters to just also reach out to the elders in the community. Sometimes we think it's only the elders that need to reach out, but the youngsters can also take a stand and ask questions and become curious about our heritage. And of course it continues this week. We have a special exhibition at the Swakopmund Museum. And then also on Saturday we've had a competition running which was called Telling the Stories of Our Elders, and we focused especially on the youngsters. And we're going to premiere a video on Saturday at 6 o'clock at the Swakopmund Museum, and I think everybody will be very surprised what stories these youngsters actually submitted.
Right. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the Torchbearers of Our Heritage exhibition? How will it bring Namibia's heritage to life?
So with our Torchbearers of Our Heritage exhibition, the one that's currently at the Swakopmund Museum, we focused on a different kind of torchbearer. We actually focused on some of the iconic buildings in Swakopmund. Swakopmund has a rich history when it comes to its buildings. For example, the Swakopmund Museum itself is a very iconic building and has a very rich history. And so we chose different buildings where we just talk about where these buildings come from, who are the architects of these buildings, but also what maybe these buildings still stand for today. And then additionally, it's not just an exhibition to get knowledge, but also maybe to inspire for people to go with a different kind of outlook around Swakopmund and just kind of find other buildings that they are interested in and see how culture and heritage is very much affects how Swakopmund is built and how the architecture is like. So if you would like to come and see the exhibition, we're open every day from 10 to 5, and just seeing the exhibition is free of charge.
Well, earlier on you talked about a video premiere which is also included in the week, telling the stories of our elders. What stories are being highlighted, and why is it so important to preserve these stories?
I always say, and I'm a very big advocate for that, Namibia, we tell our stories usually orally, and it happens in every family that you talk to. A grandfather will sit with their granddaughter or grandson, and they'll be talking about stories, but never, or very seldom, it's written down. And so with this competition, we focused on the age group from 12 to 18, and we just asked them, submit something that you have been told by your elders or by someone that you look up in the community, or you could even, maybe you've been told the story, write down the story. And we actually got 20 submissions, very different, from fairy tales that they were told to traditional fables, or to even interviewing their own father or grandfather about their past and where they came from and what lessons they have learned in life. And so for us, it was just to teach the importance, like I mentioned earlier, that those torches just continue shining forward, that our elders can not just orally leave a legacy, but also written leave a legacy. And I say these youngsters today, they're so clued up with technology, so make use of the technology that they have at hand to capture these stories, and any museum and any archive would be very welcome to actually get these stories and to kind of preserve these stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've just answered my next question, which was, of course, the youth and their participation and how they will be benefiting from the program. So, and I also like what you said earlier on, that, you know, youth should also reach out to the elders so that they can, you know, also be part of the storytelling. So, Swakopmund is already a popular tourist destination. How do you think that Heritage Week activities will boost tourism for the town and also benefit the local business community?
I think Heritage Week is such a nice opportunity for especially tourists to get to know what else Swakopmund and even Namibia, wherever Heritage Week activities are happening, are such a nice way to introduce culture to them. Yesterday when we had the opening, there was quite a few tourists who were still in the museum, and they came and sat down looking at the performances of some of the traditional groups that we had there, and they were amazed. But at the same time, I also think, like I said, our exhibition is some of the iconic buildings in Swakopmund. It's just an eye-opener for them that there's so much more to our story in Namibia, and that we are such a country rich with heritage and culture. And I know that many tourists appreciate when they can learn about our heritage and culture. So I almost wish that heritage, you know, it wasn't just once a year, but that we could do it almost every day, right? So I think it's nice that we have one dedicated week where we can just show off our heritage and culture. And I think tourists especially really appreciate it and really love it, because they are immersed into in a new world and into a very colorful world. And it grows their knowledge and it grows their understanding.